NBA draft night trades consistently have a long-lasting effect on the league, and the 2019 NBA draft is already starting to get filled with rumors of blockbuster trades. In this video, we're going to be looking at 10 recent draft night trade mistakes that are haunting NBA teams. So if you guys like my content, make sure you like and subscribe. Let's go crazy on the like button. The support lately has been absolutely insane. Let's try to get 8,000 likes on today's video, and let's hop right into it. Okay guys, we're going to start it off with a trade that went down on the night of the 2013 NBA draft, and that was between the Utah Jazz and the Denver Nuggets, as the Jazz acquired the rights to the 27th overall pick in the draft, Rudy Gobert, in exchange for the rights of the 46th pick, Eric Green, and cash considerations. We now know that Gobert will become one of the best rim protectors in the league, but coming into this draft was a very raw prospect, as he only averaged 8 points, 5 rebounds, and 2 blocks in France. But coming in at 7'1" with a 7'9" wingspan was a very interesting prospect. On the other hand, Eric Green was a 6'3" point guard who in his senior season at Virginia Tech, he managed to get 25 points while shooting 39% from 3. So at the time it wasn't big news, but looking back at this trade, it was instrumental in the success of the Utah Jazz, as Rudy Gobert, despite having a slow start to his career, as in his rookie season would only get 10 minutes per game, in just 6 seasons has become a 3-time member of the All-NBA Defensive First Team, an NBA All-Star, and Defensive Player of the Year, while Eric Green never managed to have much success, as in 52 appearances, only averaged 3.1 points per game, and currently is playing overseas, where he's actually shelled out a pretty solid career. Next, we get another trade from the 2013 NBA draft that actually indirectly involves the projected MVP of the season in Giannis Antetokounmpo, as the Utah Jazz traded away the 14th and 21st pick to the Minnesota Timberwolves to move up to the 9th overall selection and take the Naismith Player of the Year, Trey Burke. Now, Trey Burke is a 6-foot point guard who in his sophomore season at Michigan averaged 19 points and 6 assists. The Minnesota Timberwolves used their 2 selections on Shabazz Muhammad at 14 and Gorgui Dieng at 21. Now, none of these players have had spectacular careers. Trey Burke has been bouncing around the league, having success in spurts. Gorgui Dieng is still in the Minnesota Timberwolves as a rotational big man, and after a couple decent seasons, Shabazz Muhammad is now playing in China. But why I'm including this deal on the video is what happened at the 15th overall pick, as the Milwaukee Bucks took a chance on the skinny kid from Greece in Giannis Antetokounmpo. Now, obviously, looking back, everything is 2020, and predicting Giannis' future success was close to impossible at the time, but the Timberwolves decided to go with someone at the same exact position the pick before, in Shabazz Muhammad, who in his one season at UCLA managed to get 18 points per game while shooting 38% from 3. So while Giannis wasn't directly involved in this draft night trade, this selection will haunt the Timberwolves forever, so I had to include this in the video. Next, we're jumping to the 2014 NBA draft, where the Denver Nuggets traded away the rights to the 11th overall pick, Doug McDermott, for the 16th overall pick, Gary Harris, 19th overall selection, Jusuf Nurkic. Now, Doug McDermott was coming off an amazing Naismith Player of the Year season, where he averaged 27 points while shooting 45% from 3. Absolutely incredible. While his college career was historic, his NBA career really never amounted to anything, as he only managed to average 7.8 points and was traded from the Bulls in just 2 seasons. On the other side of the deal, both Harris and Nurkic have had very solid careers. Gary Harris has solidified himself as one of the better two-way players in this league. A season ago, averaged 18 points per game while almost shooting 40% from 3, and Jusuf Nurkic has been no slouch himself, currently playing on the Portland Trailblazers, where he's averaging 15 and 10. Even at the time of this trade, it looked like an overpay for McDermott, but seeing how the players in this deal panned out, I definitely think the Bulls are regretting their decision. Next, we got one from the 2015 NBA draft, and we're actually not looking at a trade that went down, but a crazy offer that was declined, where reportedly the Boston Celtics offered the Charlotte Hornets 6 future picks, including 4 first-round selections, to move up to the 9th overall spot, where they would take the Duke small forward Justice Winslow, who had just averaged 13 points per game, shooting 49% from the field and 42% from 3, and was fresh off an NCAA championship. And funny enough, the Hornets didn't even take Justice Winslow with that pick. They held on and took the Wisconsin product, Frank Kaminsky. Now, Frank's had a decent career, as in 4 seasons has averaged 10 points per game while shooting 35% from 3, but hasn't lived up to that 9th overall selection, and definitely not the package the Boston Celtics offered. Now, Justice Winslow's inability to shoot really held him back at the beginning of his career, but now that that's changed, as he shot 38% from 3 this season, combined with what he can do on the defensive end, he's actually a pretty solid player in this league. But I can guarantee you the Boston Celtics are very grateful the Hornets declined that deal, as it would have most likely set back their successful rebuild that Danny Ainge gets praised for pretty drastically. Now, we don't know what those picks were. They could have been very highly protected, they could have been Boston's personal picks, or maybe those valuable Brooklyn Nets selections. We really don't know, but I know the only team regretting that night would have to be the Charlotte Hornets, who ended up walking away with Frank Kaminsky. For the 2016 NBA Draft, we have the Orlando Magic giving up their first-round selection to Sabonis, Ersan Ilyasova, and Victor Oladipo to the Oklahoma City Thunder for Serge Ibaka. Even at the time of this trade, it had a lot of people confused. You were giving up a valuable lottery selection, a solid stretch big in Ilyasova, and the 2013 third overall pick in the draft, Victor Oladipo, who had just averaged 16 points, 5 rebounds, and 4 assists on pretty solid shooting splits for Serge Ibaka, who was definitely a solid two-way forward in this league, but given the Magic situation, it really didn't make much sense at all, and looking back, it looks like a terrible mistake, as Ibaka wouldn't even last a full season on the Magic, and Victor Oladipo and Sabonis not only became great players in this league, but were also the main pieces in the trade used by the Oklahoma City Thunder to acquire Paul George. So in a way, the Orlando Magic kind of traded away Paul George for Serge Ibaka. The Magic have consistently made moves in recent history that leave us scratching our head, and this is just another one to add to the list. Next, we got the 2017 NBA Draft, and man was this interesting. Not only was there a lot of hype for this draft because of the crazy talent such as Markelle Fultz, Lonzo Ball, and Jason Tatum, but we saw a ton of big trades go down on draft night and leading up. The first trade we're going to look back on didn't exactly go down on the night of the 2017 NBA Draft, but was still absolutely massive as it involved the first and third overall pick in the draft, as the Boston Celtics sent the #1 overall selection to the Philadelphia 76ers in exchange for the third overall pick and the Lakers' 2018 first round selection. Now the 76ers went up to the #1 pick to take an amazing prospect in Markelle Fultz, who was a 6'4" point guard who in his freshman season managed to average 23 points, 6 rebounds, and 6 assists on absolutely amazing shooting splits. This wasn't a bad move at the time whatsoever. The 76ers were ready to compete with Ben Simmons coming back, and they were high on Markelle Fultz, so they moved up 2 selections. As y'all probably know, Fultz has never become the player we expected. It's become a mystery with Markelle Fultz, as he's barely touched the court due to this shoulder injury, and when he has been on the court, it hasn't been anything pretty, as he averaged 7.7 points per game, while only shooting 42% from the field and 29% from 3. The sad career of Fultz really became evident as he was traded at this year's trade deadline for Jonathan Simmons, OKC's 2020 first round pick, and a second rounder. Having your #1 pick turn into what looks like a bust really hurts, but having the Boston Celtics selection Jason Tatum become one of the best young players in the league really makes it sting. The Boston Celtics are also getting the 14th overall pick in this upcoming draft. Obviously, the 76ers are still going to be one of the best teams in the Eastern Conference for the foreseeable future, but looking back, they'll definitely have some regret on their decisions for the 2017 NBA Draft. Next, we got another blockbuster trade from the 2017 NBA Draft, as the Minnesota Timberwolves traded away the 7th pick, Chris Dunn, and Zach LaVine in exchange for Jimmy Butler and the 16th pick. Now on paper, this was a pretty solid trade, as Jimmy Butler was one of the best players in the league, and the Timberwolves were ready to compete with Karl-Anthony Towns emerging as a young star. Now in hindsight, it doesn't look as good, as Jimmy Butler only lasted just over a season, and really didn't have a big effect in terms of team success, and on the other hand, Zach LaVine emerged as a great young player, averaging 24 points per game on great efficiency this season. Chris Dunn has proven to be a much better player than we saw in Minnesota, and Lauri Markkanen, who was taken with that 7th overall pick, looks to be a great stretch big going in the future, as this season averaged 19 points per game, 9 rebounds, while shooting 36% from 3. Now the Timberwolves still got some back for Jimmy, including Robert Covington and Dario Saric when they traded him to the Philadelphia 76ers, but given what it took to get him, I definitely think they're going to look back at this move with a lot of regret. Next, we saw a deal go down involving maybe the best player from the draft so far in Donovan Mitchell. Now, going in this draft, Mitchell was an intriguing prospect. He had a solid combination of length, ability to play both in 1 and 2, great athleticism, and shot 35% from 3 on almost 7 attempts. Now, the Utah Jazz liked what they saw, and they traded up to the 13th overall spot to get him. In exchange, they gave up Trey Lyles, who had averaged just 6 points the season before, and the 24th overall pick in Tyler Lydon. Now, since the trade, Trey Lyles hasn't had much improvement. It's just a rotational big for the Denver Nuggets. Tyler Lydon has averaged less than 4 minutes a game in just 26 appearances, while Donovan Mitchell has become one of the best shooting guards in the league, averaging 24 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, while shooting 43% from the field and 36% from 3. Given the success of the Denver Nuggets, it's hard not to think of what could have been. Lastly, we've got 2 trades that were actually declined by the Phoenix Suns for the 4th overall pick in the draft, Josh Jackson. Now at the time, Jackson was a solid prospect. Defensively, there were no questions, and offensively, he was much more impressive than we expected in his lone season at Kansas, and because of this, he gained a lot of hype leading up to the draft. There were even rumors he would go number 2 to the Los Angeles Lakers due to some very impressive workouts, and at number 3 for a majority of the process, it was a toss-up between him and Jason Tatum. The Suns ended up getting him at number 4, but they passed on some extremely good offers in order to take him. Recently, Woj reported that the New York Knicks actually offered a swap for their young star in Kristaps Porzingis, and this was before the ACL injury that had been hard to pass up. It was most likely due to false hope of Dragan Bender and Marquise Chris. The other reported offer that got declined was Josh Jackson and Eric Bledsoe for the star point guard Kyrie Irving, who wanted out of Cleveland. Looking back, this has to be hard for Suns fans as Josh Jackson hasn't really lived up to his potential, only averaging 12 points per game on pretty poor efficiency in his 2 seasons. Recently, Josh Jackson actually got arrested in Florida, and it's looking like he's headed out of Phoenix, but the Phoenix Suns are definitely not going to get anything close to what they could have gotten on the night of the 2017 NBA Draft. That's it in the video, guys. You guys tell me your thoughts in the comments below. If you liked the video, make sure you like and subscribe, and the shoutouts are gonna be Raymond McCants, Fitness by Swag, Tristan Dada, Joshua Katani, and Don Bullock. If you guys want to shout out on the next video, all you gotta do is like the video and comment liked or rep notification gang, and I'll shout 5 of you guys out. With all that being said, hope you guys have a great day, and peace.